everybody. Welcome to yet another episode of Kuzi Talks. And today I am so excited. I've got one of my friends here, a longtime friend. I've known him for over 20 years. And we've worked on projects together. He's a renowned producer. He's a renowned lead guitarist. He plays so many instruments, a multi-talented person. And with me here, help me welcome Zivanai Masango. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Welcome to Kuzi Talks. Based in the United States, Zivanai is here to talk to us about his life in general. You are definitely going to get some inspiration from the other side of Zivanai that you probably didn't know. We have always known him, and you have always known him as a musician, as an artist. But today we're going to talk to Zivanai about a totally different topic. And let's start off with Zivanai. I met you when you were limping, right?
Yeah.
And you then told me that you were not born like that.
No, I wasn't.
Let's talk about that. What happened?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I used to play soccer. I used to play football, and people tell me I was really good at it. And you always used to find me like on the, wherever football was being played, and and it was really something that I really liked to do. But one time I was playing at school and I just collapsed, and the next thing I know, I ended up in hospital, and apparently I had an infection that settled around my hip area. And the doctors didn't pick up on it quickly enough, and by the time they picked up on it, there was already a lot of damage, on my hip, and that caused, a lot of damage, and that caused the limping that you used to see when back then. And it totally like changed my life completely.
All right.
Yeah.
When you say it changed your life, what exactly changed? The attitude that you got from people who were around you, your family, at school? What actually happened? Did you face any form of bullying or body shaming, things like that? Did you face such things?
Not really from anybody. My family showed me so much love, and all my friends, and family friends showed me so much love, and I don't think that I ever faced any specific body shaming, but it's just the struggles that you have, within yourself as a person, especially knowing that you were not born like that, and you start to question, out of millions of people, why me? Why did that happen to me? But it's I could have been bitter about it, but I think realizing that everything happens for a reason, that gave me the assurance, that did away with the bitterness. I probably would not be here right now, sitting here talking to you, if that had not happened to me. A lot of experiences in my life that I cherish and wouldn't change for anything happened directly because that happened to me.
All right. Okay. Interesting. So now you're a different Z. You used to walk nicely, leveled legs, and now you're limping all of a sudden. Obviously, like you're saying, a lot of fights within yourself, a lot of questions. You're asking God, why?
Yeah.
Why me? Right?
Yeah.
And then how did you eventually come out of that position of now saying, okay, this is who I am, and I'm going to go out there and show the world that regardless of this that has happened to me, I'm still going to stand out and come out strong. How did you embrace that, and how did you fight the battle, really?
You know, it's I never, although like I knew that I couldn't do certain things that I used to be able to do, like run, you know, and we take a lot of things for granted, like being able to just lift your leg and tie your shoes, being able to, it became things that I had to think about.
Yeah.
You know, you when you're going into a plane, an airplane, for example, I have to, in advance and think about, like, how am I going to go there, how I'm going to see it, and certain things that people take for granted. But so in the back of my mind, I know that I knew that I've always known that I have certain limitations, but I don't think I ever felt like it was going to stop me from doing anything.
Right.
You know, I don't think that I ever felt that I was any less of a person, or I had any less capability than the next person. So it's not something that I ever struggled with. I don't know, like, yeah, I always knew that I could do, despite the limitations that my leg presented. I never thought that I was unable to do what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you being a soccer star, a soccer lover, and what then made you to come to music? Were you also into music back then, together with the soccer, or it then came after the change of life?
Yeah. I was always see that there was it's almost like it was a decision being made.
All right.
For me, because I've always I grew up, I come from a music family.
Okay.
My father used to work for the police band, and his brothers worked for the police band and the army band, the prisons band, and there was just music in my life everywhere. So from a very early age, I was immersed in music, and with my brother Spencer, we used to challenge each other when we were really young. Like, my uncle had this accordion in his house that from a very early age, Spencer and I used to play, and he would play something else. There was always instruments around, so I would play something else, and he would play the accordion, or I'm playing the accordion and he's playing, So we always had music, and then at church, I was the designated musician at church, even when I was a kid. So there was that conflict between I'm needed at church to play the drums, but I want to go play soccer, and so there was always that conflict. But me losing the ability to play soccer made it clear that my path is a path of music.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I didn't know you played drums, eh?
Yeah, I do play drums, but
Oh, really?
and I actually wish I was a drummer. I wish I had like continued to really study drums and really get really good at them, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, I secretly in my heart
Oh.
I'm a drummer.
You're a drummer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what happened? How did you end up being so perfect in playing all the instruments? I've seen you recording different renditions. He's like the guru of our local music. He does renditions, beautiful, beautiful renditions of our local music. And your work is just so refined. And we really applaud you for that, because you're just literally appreciating work that has been done by different artists, and you're just giving us a refined flavor of it. And we tend to even appreciate that work more, you know, that the artist did. And we actually go back to the original songs, look for them, and you know, really hear the raw that we actually applaud you for that.
Thank you.
You're doing the
very
nation
kind.
proud.
You're very kind.
Yeah.
I don't know about perfect. I'm still learning. I'm still learning.
Okay.
There's so much the more you know,
Uh-huh.
the more that you know that you don't know.
Uh-huh.
You know.
We learn
So,
every day, right?
Yeah, I'm constantly trying to learn
Mhm.
and get better at what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I appreciate you being kind about the work that I've been doing.
Yeah. No, we do have fans who always, you know, say a lot of stuff, and they appreciate what you're doing. And talking about that, there is an issue that came out at some point. I think you were having sort of like fights with one or two artists about copyrights. Yeah, maybe let's talk about that as well, maybe in brief.
Well,
Mhm.
yeah, it was just a slight misunderstanding.
Okay.
I had talked to him and asked for permission to use his song, but yeah, there was a little bit of a breakdown in communication somewhere. But I mean, I choose not to dwell on that, because you know, I choose to just focus on the positive and
Yeah.
you know, keep moving on.
Yeah, that's the way to go
Yeah.
with life. Okay, so your last words to people who are possibly struggling out there with body shaming, people taking them, like pulling them down in whatever way. You know, we have people who have autism, people who are disabled, people who have different challenges of their bodies. Probably they were born seeing and then they lose their sight. I actually have a sister who lost her sight after so many years, and you know, the way people cope differs. You have a way of your own coping mechanism, right, that you came up with when you were young. But we're talking of probably an adult like us today,
Right.
and then they get involved in an accident, they lose their legs, they lose their hands or whatever part of their body. What are your last words? What advice can you give to such people? What kind of hope can they have in terms of life in general? Yeah.
What I would say is, you know, like I was saying before, like this, you might not immediately see the reason why things are happening, or you might question God and be like, why me? Why is this happening to me?
Mhm.
But there's always, I believe what has helped me cope is realizing quickly that what happened to me happened for a reason, and this was the reason. Maybe I'm more fortunate than others, that for me it was really clear really early on that you know, it was a clear decision being made for me by God that this is your path. And so I would say just to look into yourself and look into your heart and figure out like what could be the reason why God chose this for you. And that's the one thing that helped me a lot. And music. Music is such a blessing in my life because it's like a refuge. You know, it's like a refuge. Whenever I'm like I'm having any challenges, you know, or whatever, it's like therapy. For me to work on music or just play, and so I'm fortunate in that regard that I have something that in my life that, you know, that I can run to, and it's like a refuge.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Z, for the nice words, for the encouraging words to the people out there. So at the end of the day, people, it's not the end of the world. When something terrible, something unfortunate happens to you, you can still make it. You can still find yourself and work with what you have. Even when you're in a wheelchair, it's not the end of the world. You can always come up with something. You can always come up with new ideas that will actually make you focus on your life and thank God at the end of the day. This is what we wanted to talk to you about so that you know the other side of our renowned musician, Zivanai Masango. And you'll be leaving very soon. We want you to play something. There's no way you can't get away with this. We really want you to play something as we sign off today's episode of Kuzi Talks. Zivanai Masango. Tijagara tesi Zuarajo Ratomni no kera Tijagara tesi Ruba